I guess it's for some of you guys, it gets its media day plus, right? So that's not a bad thing. But I kind of like doing this after we get a chance to kind of get out on the field. And if there was something that was really noticeable about this ball club was, there was still excitement, and yet at the same time there was a true sense of ownership. And that's something we've been trying to really kind of, as we build this program and in the process of building what we're going to be in the future and for years on out, the guys understanding that, it's about us and it's about the ownership and really about, as we talk about, the discovery of the what. And what I mean by that, the discovery of the what is what we need to do. Let's learn from what we did in the past and not make those same pitfalls. But let's move forward, and really what we understood yesterday, I really felt, was the attention to detail it takes to be successful, not only in a football program, but successful in life. And those are the lessons that we're really striving to teach. And as I've said, I really like our group. I like our team. They're good guys. They're fun to be around. And they're starting to understand, instead of being a bystander. So what happens in crowds sometimes is, guys, there's bystanders that know something isn't just right, but they won't do anything. They may do it in a small group, but the key is in a large group. And let's take control of that, not be a bystander, but let's go ahead and be part of the answer. And I really like the way the guys communicated and really helped each other during practice yesterday. Based on our split squad practice. As you guys know, I will not anoint any young guys. Imagine that. But at the same time, I think you're going to see we did a pretty good job of recruiting in this class. And we've got some parts that are going to be able to help us this year. So that's a good thing. And that's what we're striving to do, is build and get better every day. So with that, I'll leave it open for some questions. I know we've got the coordinators coming in and some players. You guys get tired of seeing me, so you'll get a chance to take a shot at those guys.
Jim, did you see a lot of this taking ownership when those young guys came out? The guys, because the only real contact they've had this summer is with the veterans.
Yeah.
Did you kind of see some of that carryover effect? Maybe they were a little bit ahead of where those guys were a year ago?
Yeah, when we went into that practice, you could tell that the OTAs and the things that our guys did on the field, and really kind of telling our guys, the new guys, this is how we practice. This is the tempo and pace at which we go. And you could tell there was some carryover of what they did this summer. And I think that speaks volumes for, the emerging leadership on this team.
How much does that help during because you're talking about some of these guys playing right away potentially.
Uh-huh.
How much does that help get them, because it's not like remedial.
Yeah.
Here's how you have to practice, and it takes them a week or two to get used to the tempo.
Well, as you know, my fear has always been in coaching since the day I started was there's really two great fears. One, they don't know how to stretch, and two, they can't get out of a huddle. And those are the two things. I think, once you kind of get that, you say, okay, we got a chance.
Coach, does Jared Roberts eliminate concerns at the kicking position for you?
Jared Roberts. Is that kicker?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I tell you, kicker has done an outstanding job for us. And, he's kind of got ice in his veins. His percentage is good. And let's put it this way, I feel very comfortable anytime we send them out there that we're going to come away with points. And, we're fortunate, I think, to have two returning guys, both our punt guy and then our kicker, that are going to help us on the special teams. But Jared in particular has really become a leader of that specialist group. He's a guy that the team trusts, and that's a key too. When you're a kicker and your team trusts you, that's a good thing.
Did you see that swagger in Garrett Grayson that you would hope to see after this summer?
Now, I thought it was a limp. I don't know, you called it a swagger. I thought he limped out there a little bit. But I guess where I saw there, I could see Garrett must have done an outstanding job with our two new quarterbacks. In that, you know, those guys kind of looked good in that afternoon practice or the second practice, which tells me he spent some time. And I think this is something he may have learned from, you know, the Manning Academy, that it's not just about you, but how you affect the people around you in a positive way. You know, he did have yesterday in practice, he threw it to the wrong colored jersey once, and yet it was a great play by defense, right? You get kind of happy for them. But at the same time, you could tell he's in control. When we were working on certain tempos, you could tell he had the full management of what direction we were headed.
Do you sense in him, though, this year, it's not just knowing what he's supposed to do, but having a confidence in what he feels he knows?
You know, coming off of last year, the way he finished, he should carry himself with some confidence. And at that position, let's not bleed the line of confidence to arrogance. He definitely is not arrogant. But the way he carries himself on the field in command of the huddle with the guys around him, helping the O-linemen in the, you know, the mic points and those type of things, you can tell he's taken it to a new level and not maybe relying on Weston Richburg to do those things.
How's he doing with those line calls that Weston used to take off of his plate that he now has to make? Did you even notice it yesterday?
Yeah, there was no doubt. He was in command. You could tell he understood it. He wasn't waiting for somebody, you know. And, you know, the thing about communication, guys, is sometimes you may not make the exact right call, but as long as all 11 are on the same page, you got a chance for success on that play.
The other thing is that the Mountain West Media Days, you walk around, I know this team has Garrett's back, but you listen to other defenders in the conference talk about him. They consider him one of the elite. That's a step a quarterback really wants to take. It's not just your team, it's what the people you play against think of you, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, the words we use are relevant and irrelevant. As I talked about expectations before, I'm not sure anybody knew who Colorado State was, other than we had, you know, great university and an unbelievable school. But now they're taking note, you know, that the Rams are playing some decent football, and, you know, there's certain guys that have stepped up, become relevant in other people's eyes, and that's a, you know what, that's a compliment.
Jim, I know you don't want to anoint any of the newcomers or anything, but are there any position groups out of those where you're saying we really need some help in this class?
You know, I really feel good about our returning group. I guess I look at it more as additions, maybe, you know, some couple explosive playmakers, you know, that might make a difference. And where I really see it making a difference is on special teams, where the key is winning the field position battle, and some guys being hungry to go make a mark there. And, you know, great teams that consistently win, there's kind of a build-up to your playing time on offense and defense, and it starts with special teams. So those guys understanding, you know what, this is an opportunity for us to help our team win and be successful. That's the key to being a selfless player.
In some
Tyson
ways,
Brayla looks around and says, where'd everybody go? How do you expect him or want him or need him to be a leader in that group, and how's he responding to that?
What he's done, it was interesting, you know, right at the start, you know, the visual I have is, okay, let's talk about the Partridge family, okay? All right, let's go back now. You know, at the beginning where there's the big partridge, and then there's these little partridges following along? That guy's the leader of the Partridge family, man. And it's awesome.
Who's Danny? That's
Well, so far, we won't go with the cast of characters, okay? But, you know, it really is kind of an interesting thing, because you see this guy leading these guys around, and they're taking it in, and I think appreciate that. So Ty's obviously got a lot on his plate.
Do you think he will know who Shirley Jones is?
Well, you know, one thing you got to understand is that we not only talk about football, but we talk about important things in life, you know, like, you know, name the guys in the Brady Bunch. Who were they? You know, I mean, those are important, like, iconic things that guys need to know, right? And I'm sure before it's done, we'll talk a little bit about You know, the episode that, what was it, Marsha Brady had a crush on Davy Jones, in the Brady Bunch. I mean, some things like that that's really important.
Coach, what's next for the program after the bowl season?
What's next is us understanding what we discovered and, moving forward. I'm not a guy that puts a count on wins. Success is shown by wins, but there's a lot of ways that you develop as a group, as young men, to be successful in life. And they're starting to take those strides that help us and help them individually be the best they can be.
Coach, can you talk about Dee Hart and how that kind of came about?
Sure. Obviously I've had a long relationship with Dee. His auntie and in recruiting him for a long, long time. His people down there, his coaches, have a trust. I promised his family that he would get a degree, and the happiest day of my life was when he got that degree from the University of Alabama. And I also talked to him about, the next step, because he did it in 3 years. The next step is, let's go get a master's. And him being a first-generation college student, first one to get a degree in his family, warms my heart. And first time I laid eyes on him and I saw that big smile and got that hug, you really realize what we're in this for.
You talked a little bit about the linebacker, the depth that you have there, and how that will help your special teams. What other groups do you look at? Is it the running backs, the
I think our wide receiver core, are guys because of the speed and size that have to make a difference as well on special teams. And I do see depth in our secondary as well. I think our overall team speed has gotten better, and then some size at some positions I think are going to help us, in certain aspects of that.
Is that where you expect like a Deontay Clyburn, Wosu, those guys to make more of an impact this year, especially considering the linebackers have?
And Kevin Davis coming back, who played a ton as a, before he got hurt as a freshman, right? There's, O'Heaney, Brian O'Heaney. I'm sure I'm missing some guys, right now, but Kyle Robinson, there's another guy that, he has changed his body, and another guy that can run. So, I look those guys to really Nuvali Fa'apito, what he gives us on the special teams as well. I mean, those guys have got to be difference makers when they're on the field.
Should your incoming freshman look at a guy like Jake Schlager and what he was able to do last year and the impact he made on your special teams and really take note?
I think Jake Schlager, Eric Williams, who played, before he got hurt, was on all the special teams as well. And, Jake kind of became a crowd favorite, because of the plays that he made and really made an impact. And you tell that where finally you get to a game and the opposition are pointing out a guy. In other words, their special teams coordinator said, look, that guy's making all the plays, let's get him stopped. So that's kind of cool.
What jump do you expect from Jake this year?
Well, I think the biggest thing is for him is now learning the pass defense part of it. Here's a guy that basically was a linebacker in high school, right? Rushed a lot. He's a great blitzer, but now getting a little more comfortable, knowing when he's got to be in the deep middle third and those types of things.
Coach, you talked about your team being relevant again in the Mountain West. Do your players understand the responsibility that goes with being relevant? That it's not just an award you put on the wall and say, hey, look, here we are.
Well, I think that, that's something we're going to find out yet. When I talk about the ownership part, I see these guys really now seeing, you know what, yes, we can, and this is how. And that's what's great, seeing practice. Guys investing every day to get better and helping the guys around them get better. And, time will tell when we get to the season, obviously. But that's where I say, there was some excitement, but at the same time, there was kind of a sense of, look, this is what we've got to do to take the next step.
Thanks a lot. Last one, guys. as a junction for you personally, you know, you came into this program 3 years ago, and there's a certain level of excitement, a certain energy level. You've had some success. There can be a tendency, you know, to plateau somewhat. Do you see this for you as a pivotal year in terms of, you know, taking the program forward to the next level?
You know, it's interesting because I look at every day as a pivotal day, you know, because if I'm not getting better, we're not getting better. And, you know, that's really the mentality that our organization, you know, takes. And, you know, pivotal, not pivotal, whatever. I know this, we're going to work our tails off, and the Rams are getting better. And that's a good thing. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Oh, jeez.
Jeff, for that down there.
Trainer.
Jake Schlager made an impact last year on his team on special teams. What do you see as his jump this year that he needs to make for you in the secondary, and maybe fitting in some playing time in the backup role?
I think he will fit in terms of playing, and you know, at this point, there's really can't say backup role or not. You know, and the biggest thing that he did was get healthy. Okay, we had him in the first 11 practices in the spring, and then we held him out so he can get the scope and the surgery, and then he's ahead of schedule. And he moved yesterday better than I've seen in probably over a year. Even his first day of camp a year ago. I mean, he's moving really well. He's a smart player. He's got instinct. So he's going to help us on defense as well as special teams. He's going to be a big part of it.
How big a surprise was he last year? I mean, he really did jump in and make an impact on special teams.
It was just a lot of want-to that guy, you know. I mean, he got off blocks. He fought to beat a guy around the corner and around the edges, and he may not have been the fastest guy in that kickoff unit, even the punt team, but just getting off blocks and being aggressive and getting after it and playing hard and fast. And he's got a great feel for when to go inside, when to go outside, and take a risk and try to make a play. And he stopped some guys inside the 20 several times a year ago.
Was it a little surprise, given all the guys you had coming in, that the kid from McCook ends up being kind of that whole freshman class? You know, he was kind of an unheralded guy coming in from small town western Nebraska, but he ends up making such a big impact.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise because of just how he's so far in front of everybody in the coverage part of it, especially, again, going back to kickoff cover. And just when we pause the film and look at how many steps he was ahead of everybody else, that part of it. But in terms of his aggressiveness and his instincts, not really surprised with that part of it.
Just the defense in general, what's it have to do this year to carry this team to improve upon what you guys did last year?
I think we made some good strides a year ago against the rush. Guys got a little more discipline, a little more defensive integrity as far as gap sound, that type of stuff. And then we all know where we need to improve in when we say pass coverage. It's not just secondary, but that's everybody. We need to get better pass rush up front, which is 4 without having to blitz all the time. And pressure, move the quarterback, don't let him set his feet. And intermediate-wise, linebackers, we got to reroute, we got to be physical on the routes, and don't give them just normal timing, offset timing, and then tighten down our coverage a little bit. And I'd say if we can get that part of it done, that we're going to be a better defense.
Is that part of just the maturation of a program that you focus on stopping the run first, just like you would going into most games, and then we branch out and worry about the other things? I mean, is it almost like that?
I would say so. I would say from our first year, we knew we needed to improve rush defense, because if you can improve and do a good job against the run, and force teams to throw, you're doing what you want to do defensively. And we think we got, like we said, a little better at that. And I would agree with the maturation part. That's just kind of the flow of how it goes. And I don't know that you just completely gel defensively, for 2 or 3 years. And now with added competition and everything, and what do we bring in, 6 or 7? 7 DBs. It's going to create competition, and that part of it's going to help. But again, like I said, it's got to get done up front too. And I think with us being able to work on some schemes and things to help the personnel that we have, we'll get better in that area too.
You guys don't have a completely conventional model. You're both coach positions, you're co-coordinators. Could you talk about that relationship and kind of the working model of how you get things done?
I think it's just the whole room, really. And, mean, we've been together long enough now that we're pretty much on the same page on a lot of stuff, but we talk in details. If there's some things that one of us like and someone else, we get everybody involved in the discussion. Hey, let's talk about this a little longer. And it's just not us two, but the other two guys in the room. And those other two guys have also coordinated before as well. So we feel like we've got a great brain trust in that room in terms of coming up with ideas. What's the best way to do it? What's going to make it easier for our guys to execute? And so the answer to that is really we're all involved in the discussion and trying to work it out in terms of what we want to do and how we want to do it.
It's a great fit. I mean, we just, like Coach Simmons said, it's not just me and him. It's all four of us, and it's a great room, and on game day it's fantastic. I mean, everybody's got their roles, and they fit very well. And the way we work together, the things we see and communicate, and you know, really that's what it all is. It's a team effort, whether it's all the players, the coaches, whatever, and we really like our room. So I'd give a lot of credit to everybody in there.
Marty, you've been on a lot of staffs. Is this one more collaborative in that regard maybe than the way
Absolutely.
you're describing things?
Yes, I would say that. We're very, very collaborative in everything we do, both when things we need to help the offense or they need to help us, or what we sit around in that room and talk about, and the way we work it out. It's just a great fit. I can't even explain it without having to have people be a part of it, but it is a unbelievable coordination and collaboration and great fit, and it's very comfortable.
This is the second year in a row you lose your entire defensive front, you lose your line. Can you talk about the group that you have in place, and can they, and I know you don't always look at sacks, but can they get more pressure on the quarterback? Can they adjust his timing? Do you feel comfortable with the group that you have there in the depth?
Yeah, we think we do. And you got to remember, too, when we lost those guys, the other guys got significant playing time. So it was difficult to sit there and say the kids that are coming back they have significant experience. And again, part of that is us trying to help those guys situationally. Who do we put where? Because we can get a nickel situation and change our pass rushers, or what we call a cheetah pass rush group in longer yardage. We can do those kind of things to put the absolute speed on the field, but there's also things that we have to do, you know, if it's 50-50 run to pass, how are we going to match up the run, who's got to be in there. So there's things we can do with the guys we have situationally to help them attack the quarterback.
One of the guys that I did notice walking on the field yesterday was Justin Hansen, and I know talking to Greg last year, you needed to get him down to 300 pounds. Looks like he's close to that. Is he a guy that could help in every down type thing instead of just a big package?
Well, we hope so, and that'll be determined. He has lost. He's down 290-something, 292, I think. He's done a great job of doing what we've asked him to do, and now it's just a matter of getting enough reps, you know, to see if he's going to be able to because you still, even when you pass rush, you still need a guy to pass rush to the face of the quarterback, and not everybody's on just a, you know, set, go, dead sprint to the quarterback. We've got to, and that was part of what we did a year ago too. We weren't great at keeping the quarterback in the pocket, and there's things we have to do within integrity of the rush to keep him in the pocket and move his feet. It's not always a sack. It's literally offset and timing, moving his feet, and so you still need some of those kind of guys to rush in the front of the quarterback, and we'll hope he can help.
How much do you think, you talk about the 7 new guys coming in, are some of those guys going to play right away this year?
Yeah.
In that secondary?
Yeah.
And you need some of them to
We
step
have
up.
to, because we don't have enough, just numbers-wise. And we kind of struggled this spring, just especially as much nickel as you play nowadays. And so we have to have some of those young guys play. I think it's a great group. I can't say who's going to be that guy yet, but what it adds is the competition. And really, they're going to compete with the veterans guys as well, not against each other as the younger guys, to have a spot on this team. So it's going to be interesting. But we've got some good guys, and I saw a lot of good things yesterday in just one day of practice.
Do you think they understand that they can look around and go, a couple of us are going to be playing this year?
You know, I've probably expressed it to them about 5 or 6 times already.
So they know it.
Yeah.
Do you like camp where you have some returning experience, especially at safety, a lot of experience there. Do you like a camp where they're not comfortable thinking that I'm automatically going to be a third-year starter?
It has to be that way. The message I've sent to the group is that I need to have a better, just for example, Trent Matthews. So either Trent Matthews the starting Trent Matthews, if he's starting this year, has to be better than last year Trent Matthews, or if someone's outworks him and outcompetes him for the job. So the message to the whole group, whether they're returners or not, is that your game has to go to the next level. The guy who's stepping on that field at right safety, right corner, left corner, is a better football player. Either you've elevated yourself or somebody else has replaced you. So that's been the message.
When we talked to Bernard last week, he went back and he said most of the problems you had in the secondary were communication problems. When you look back at the 31 touchdown passes you gave up, was most when you look back on and you broke down game film, was a lot of it just communication errors, not recognizing what the offense was coming in?
Early in the year, there was a couple, early in the year, but I think, there was all kind of reasons. Guys just not executing their assignment or technique or playing with their discipline, even though they knew what their responsibility was. Okay, but there was some communications issues as well. And so that's the things we got to continue to work on. We did a better job in the spring, and we'll continue to do that this fall. And the thing we have to do as we go through film is communicate what the calls are as we watch film, not just till we get to the field. But it's communication as you watch film. If a receiver moves from a 2x2 to 3x1, okay, what's the call? So those things, as well as in our walks periods, we have to make sure we as coaches provide them the opportunity to execute those calls.
Was that the frustrating part for you last year? Like you said, there's guys just didn't do their job or didn't execute. When you know that they can, and you know they've done it maybe earlier in the game, was that the frustrating
That
part
was the
for you
toughest
last year?
thing. Sometimes you get so involved in just wanting to make a play that you may not execute the proper technique or get your eyes right. And so I think sometimes you just get so consumed when I got to make a play on the ball as opposed to just doing your job from an assignment and technical standpoint and then letting it happen, and be in a position when the ball's thrown your way. But you can't force it in terms of trying to be able to make a play. So there's some situations where we got beat just because of bad eyes.
What type of challenge does communication provide when you have a bunch of new guys? I mean, last year was guys who played together for the most part for just a little bit. You got all these new guys coming in. Is it even harder to get those guys talking?
It's a growing period for the safeties. It's not as tough on the corners, okay? But, as we progress, they've had a chance already being here this summer to work on that. And some guys, did a good job yesterday in terms of communication as freshmen or new guys, newcomers. So we just keep working at it.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, the neat thing about it is you have Zerblis, Bennett, and you have Moose Myers that are all three centers. So it's the first time that I felt comfortable that we have depth at that position. All three can play there. All three have played there. It's neat competition. But right now, Bennett's playing the center and Zerblis is playing a guard. And with the other unit, they switch over and they're alternating. So we'll figure it out down the line here, and which one gets the starting role. The other one's going to play guard.
We're going to have to try to tweak what you can do because of the inexperience in the offensive line. Or are you still going to try to?
That's a unique group. That 5 guys have to come together and really create a chemistry and communicate and the whole deal. But, we have other leadership in a quarterback and some talented wideouts. So, do you see us changing our philosophy a little bit? I don't know. It'll go through fall camp, but I'm excited about the offensive line. I think they're competing in camp, and they competed during the summer, and they're going to be a good group.
Even the last 2 years, even with last year's experience line, you struggled to get that run game going early in the year, develop that go-to back. It took a while for Capri. How do you go about it this year with relatively a new offensive line, getting that run game established like you and Jim really want to do?
Yeah, I think it's very important that we do establish a run game and continue to work on it and don't give up on it. And we didn't give up on it in the bowl and stayed with it. And I think it holds 2 purposes. It really keeps our defense off the field and allows them to play better. So we have to be able to run the ball. In fall camp, it's a priority. And our practices are geared around running the ball in practice. We go against our defense on a daily basis of running the football. It doesn't matter what front they're going to give us. We're going to have to try to run the ball. They're going to load the box up. They're going to put 9 in the box, and we're still trying to run the ball. And if we continue to work on it on a daily basis, we'll get better. So, but it puts an emphasis on the O-line and the tight ends. And the tight ends have to become an integral part of this to be able to run the football, because to get outside, you have to have tight ends that can do that work. So Kevon and the people behind him are going to have to do a job for us.
You know, when talking to Weston, he said people shouldn't worry about the offensive line. These guys are good. Garrett said the same thing. Are they better than people are giving them credit for?
You know, you get them in the weight room, you see what they've done. They're very, very athletic. We have people across the board that can run better than we could last year. And the game has become such a speed game that the athleticism of the O-line is important. And all 5 across the board are very talented. And our left tackle, Ty, is a legit prospect for the next level. So I'm excited their athletic ability, but it still comes down to communications and being able to communicate and work together. That group of one guy misses and he misses, the whole thing's going down. So it's communications.
Is the communications part a little concerning, knowing that as experienced as that group you had was last year, it really took them almost a season and a half in the system to really gel?
The neat thing is most of these guys have been here for the length of the period now that we've been here, so they know the communication's needed. When we first got here, we had to teach new verbiage. We had to teach what we were looking for on every play, and it took Weston a long time to get to adjust to that. Well, Bennett's been in it, Zerblis has been in it, Moosmeyer's been in it, Ty. They've all been here, so they know what we're asking on each play. Now it's can they talk to each other as they go through this. But they've been here, and that's the neat thing.
Let's talk about your quarterbacks. Okay, guys. Garrett said one of the two things he picked up from at the Manning camp were footwork drills and really how to study, not just what he was looking at, but how to read it. Have you noticed that in the time he's been back?
You know, I had a great conversation with Garrett because his roommate Chucky Keaton and I recruited to Utah State, so both of them were together. 2 guys that I had personally coached were there with Manning, and to have them there was a compliment. But Garrett and I have talked that, you know, Peyton doesn't allow things to go wrong on a practice field. He's going to do it over and do it right. And I think Garrett came back to me and says, Coach, if I do something wrong, I'd like to do it over and get it right in my mind and continue to do it right that way. And then the other thing was the film study. Garrett bought into it halfway through the season last year, got better and better. But he stood up in front of our offensive team and said, okay, Peyton Manning told me that he studies film 80 hours a week. That's how critical it is to know your opponent, yourself, your opponent. So I think he's understanding the importance of the time that he puts into it. And he's sincere when he says that. So I was excited that he saw that from a true NFL superstar, that he can take that and say, he works this hard. He's at the premier level, yet he outworks everybody. And I think Garrett understands that's what he has to do.
What's your reaction to the arrival of D. Hart, and what's your level of expectations for him?
I'm excited about all the running backs. Yesterday, I think some kids showed in that position that we didn't have in the spring. D. Hart is a kid that's ready to compete. He's got a great personality out there. He's bubbly. He wanted to compete on every play. He's got an advanced knowledge of what we're doing from Alabama. The terminology's different, but the steps and a lot of those things are in that same procedure. So he's got an advantage. But Trey Gerald showed outstanding quickness yesterday, a JC transfer, quickness and his ability to adjust to learn on the run, and he finished drills. You like to see running backs when they get into a drill finish, and he was one to go and finish. And then Deron Thompson showed some flashes of great speed yesterday. There's going to be great competition at the running back, and if we can compete there, if we can have 3 guys step up and compete, we're in great shape.
Do you think Jason Oden will stick around at running back?
He provides a bigger back. I think what's happened to Jason is in spring he became a guy, and now he's still learning the position. But now he's going to have to hold on to a hat because he's going to have to compete on every play. So every opportunity he gets has to be his best opportunity because someone's knocking on the door. And that's how you get better, is in any kind of unit, somebody's trying to push you.
What do you need to see out of Nick Stevens this year, or even CJ, in their terms of somebody's got to be the heir apparent to Garrett next year?
You know, Nick is extremely bright, and so is CJ. They both have an understanding of this offense now, which I was excited. Nick's footwork has to improve. He's got to be able to do things right with his feet to make sure that his arm can take care of those things. I told Nick that you want to be the guy. If you're happy being Garrett's backup, you're never going to be a great player. You got to push Garrett and you got to believe that you can be the guy and compete to be the guy and push Garrett. And CJ's the same way. And yet, the freshman yesterday, Coleman Key, he threw some really nice balls. He's got an arm that we haven't seen since the kid left us. He's got that type of arm and showed good footwork. So we're getting competition there too. I mean, everything, if you compete there, we're going to be better. But those two have to feel that they cannot be number two. They want to be number one and push to be number one.
Are you hopeful to get any of those folks some game reps this year? Because last
You know what? I would certainly like that to happen. But in this conference, the way points are scored and the whole deal, it's important about winning. And that's our main goal, is to win. We're not in that philosophy where every third series you play somebody. We're in a philosophy to win. So that's a tough position with the quarterback. Hopefully we can have it where Nick gets to play a little bit, CJ plays, but I can't guarantee that.
The way Nick traveled last year, if something would have happened to Garrett, would he have been your number two? Because it sure looked that way.
At a point early in the season, it would have happened. Late in the season, we were not going to pull the red shirt on Nick Stevens. We felt we owed it to him. He stayed in it and practiced the whole deal. But the last 3 games of the season, that was not going to happen. We brought up CJ. CJ started to do a great job. I felt he could come in and finish a game for us, and we could still win with him playing at that position at that time.
Jim did mention at one point last year, the one thing that CJ was too excitable at times. You kind of needed to calm him down. Have you seen development in him that way?
Yeah, he's showing much better leadership to go with it, too. He's not as worried about just getting in and getting a rep. Now, how do I do that rep, and can I do it right, and how do I make the people around me better? Where he's improved is his stride, and he had knee problems, and they were operated on, and he overcompensated for a while, and he's got back to in a base and balance, and he's pushing off the post foot and striding through, and he's much better at that. So I feel excited with his progress there.
And then back to Nick, I know last year you were working on his throwing motion. How much better is he with, how close is he to the way you want it?
Not yet. He still overstrides, and we're doing something new in practice this year. We're taking you'll see a ladder behind the quarterbacks in Skelly, and that ladder goes up about 15 feet, and we're filming the back of the quarterback so we can watch the quarterback's drops and his head. It doesn't show the full picture, it just shows the quarterback. So we'll go through the Skelly rep, talk about the coverages, the route, the adjustment, then we go back and watch the quarterback's feet and his head. And that I have a chance on every play now to talk about, okay, where'd your foot placement go? Where did your hips go? Where did your head go? And we can work on those individual fundamentals that the film provides us. And last year we didn't do that, so it's an advanced technique for us this year. It's like a head camera, but we've taken it to the ladder where we can get a better view of it.
Dave, the co-coordinators for defense talked about just how much of a kind of collaborative effort it is when they're in the team room and coaching the defense. Who's not really hung up on the hierarchy of who's a coordinator and all that. Is that true in the offensive?
Very much
room
so.
too?
Art Valero was a great addition to us. Just his experience in the NFL and being able to be an O-line coach, a running back coach in all those years. And so his calmness and his ability to say that we can do these things in the run game have helped. I think that Alvis Woodard has grown tremendously as a football coach. He had the respect of our receivers because of all of his NFL experience. He is a technician now, and our receivers feel that way, and they're confident. We go into the room, and there's a lot of things that get bounced off the wall, but at the end, one decision has to be made. When it's made, we're all comfortable with it, and we go on.
Can you talk a little bit about your young wideouts and what development you expect out of like Xavier or Sammy?
Yeah, there's some young kids there. Xavier Williams showed flashes of really uniqueness yesterday, being a big receiver that can run. Elray Masters was very precise in what he did yesterday. Last year, this coming in, he was lost, but he was doing the right thing yesterday. There's a true freshman that showed some really explosiveness in Deontay Gaines. We're excited about that. And then Sammy Long, he didn't do anything that was fantastic yesterday. He just did everything right. And to me, when you start to do right, then the things will show. So there's competition there too. It was Hansley and Higgins and Chuck Lovett. Well, now there's 4 other guys that are going to appear. So it allows us to bring in rotation. To me, we brought in tight ends and did all the things. Now we can bring in tight ends with wideouts. And if you're a coordinator on the other side, it's 10 personnel. No, it's 11. What personnel is it with all the guys substituting? So I feel comfortable that they can all play.
Are they ready to play? I mean, Jim said you're going to need him. He seems excited about him. Do you expect them they're going to play and help make a difference?
Yeah, I do.
Like Richard did last year.
Yeah, it took Richard a little time, but the neat thing is Sammy, Masters, Williams have all been in the program. We can limit the number for gains and put him to certain situations, but the other 3 I do expect to play.
Have you ever done that film angle with quarterbacks anywhere else?
Yeah, I've done it at Utah State and New Mexico, and we just didn't have the opportunities here, and we have more filmers, so it allows a quarterback to see his footwork. And you'll see other teams do it. It's not something that I developed. It's just another tool to look at the quarterback's footwork.
Where do you expect to see the greatest gains in what Richard learned last year and where he can take it this year?
His consistency in his route running. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's a playmaker. But that sometimes the depth of the route was supposed to be at 12 yards and he was at 8 yards. Now the consistency of the steps, getting to the distance and doing the right thing so Garrett can get him the ball. So just that consistency, and then, finding a way to get him the ball is going to be one of my chores because he is explosive.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Guys?
Yep.
Next.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man.
How did the Manning camp change your perspective?
Just taught me how to really pay attention to details, I guess, perfect my craft. Just being around Peyton, I always hear that he tries to perfect everything he does. And, every drill we did, he was doing it with us, and if he messed it up, he made us wait in line, and he did it till he got it right, and that's kind of how it was. And when he walks in the room, his presence is felt. It's his way or no way, and you always hear that kind of stuff, but just to see it in person, it just kind of opened up my eyes at the quarterback position. It's how you have to be, and you have to earn respect from everybody, and once you earn that respect, you need to demand it and just go out there every day and try to perfect everything you do. So.
Do you have this irresistible urge to yell Omaha, or are you going to Vancouver?
No, nothing like that. He gave us a few little tips on his cadences and stuff like that, but nothing too deep, obviously. Try and keep that within their program, but it was kind of cool to hear, the different stuff that he uses and keep defenses honest, things like that. So it was really fun.
Garrett, were you surprised? Everybody knows that he's a perfectionist, but were you surprised at the level he takes it to?
Yeah, the thing I was most surprised about was when he started talking about film and everything he looks for and the 80 hours a week that he watches. I mean, I don't know how he has a life outside of football because, they practice probably 3 hours a day. And so that's, 11 hours, 12 hours a day of film study. And so I don't know how he sleeps or eats, anything like that. So it was amazing to hear that from him. But that's why he's the quarterback he is. That's why he, is one of the best of all time. So.
What have you done then? What have you taken from that and brought to the team now?
Well, as soon as I got back from that camp, I started watching film to try and catch up to the 80 hours. But so since then, he gave me some tips on what to look for in defenses, safeties, reads, things like that. But I've just been trying to watch as much film as I can because, like I said, that was really eye-opening to me to see somebody watch that much film or hear about it. And so I've just been trying to, like I said, to watch as much as I can.
Did you go down with the coaches to the practice? Did you go down and watch?
No, I was home, actually, so I didn't get to. So.
When you guys were issued iPads, did that make your life better or worse?
Better for sure, because usually, after practices, you go home and you just sit on your bed and try and relax, get some sleep, and now you can have it right there in front of your face, watch all the film you want. So that definitely made everything easier.
You know, now during the season, I won't have to come back to school to watch film. I can just go home, relax, and, you know, in the comfort of my home and watch everything I need to watch. So.
Walking around Mountain West Media Days, talk to some defenders that you'll play against this year. You've earned their respect. A lot of them consider you one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. What does that mean to you? I mean, you knew you already had the respect of your team, but to know that it's growing around the league.
Well, I'm humbled and honored by it, obviously. Very thankful. You know, and I don't want to get complacent, I guess, with it. Anytime, you know, all that stuff starts coming around, people can get complacent, and nothing good ever comes from that. So I want to keep building on what I did last year, and you know, hopefully I can get some more praise. You know, have a good season this year. But you know, like I said, I'm very thankful for all that to be mentioned with Chucky and Cody, all those guys, and you know, last year with the car and Fails, all of them. So like I said, it's very humbling to be mentioned with them, and I'm just ready to get going for this season.
How concerned or confident are you in your new offensive line?
I have no problems with them at all. I mean, obviously, you know, if I'm going to return somebody, I'm glad it's my left tackle. But like I said, I have no concerns. They learned from, you know, Weston, all those guys last year were around for a long time, and so, you know, it helped to have the young guys around for the 2-3 years that they were to learn from the best, and so that, you know, even though they weren't playing, they still got experience from some of the best, you know, around in this conference last year. So that obviously helped, and like I said, there's no lack of confidence in them at all. So.
How hard is it learning with a new center for just one season when you had Weston?
You know, it's not that bad, to be honest. The snaps are pretty much the same. There's nothing really different. I get to sit up a little higher with Jake, so that's something I like. But obviously we'll miss Weston. I mean, anytime you have a second-round draft pick, you're going to miss him. But I think Jake is going to be just fine. Of course, you know, there's going to be some learning curves early on. They're young. You know, I mean, I had learning curves last year as a junior. So, but like I said, it'll be fun. It's something I'm looking forward to. Me and Jake are getting pretty close this off season, so it's been a fun learning experience.
How do you cultivate that relationship off the field to really help you guys think?
Well, last night after they fed us our last meal, O-line was still hungry and they wanted to go to Five Guys. So we all went to Five Guys, and I was obviously full, so I didn't eat, but I just kind of sat there and hung out with those guys, and it's pretty amazing to see the food that they can put down, but it was fun just to get to hang out with them, and it was the starting five, so it was fun to get out there and just kind of relax, get away from football for a little bit, and just be us. So.
You buy them?
A couple more.
All right, if I had some money, I would buy their meal, but.
Nick Stevenson. Do you see him as a guy that is going to truly push you to make you a better quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, he's beyond the point of being intelligent. Like I said, I've said this all last season. He picked up the offense faster than anyone I've seen. He knows it like the back of his hand. So, you know, I mean, hopefully at this point in my career, I don't have to go to him and ask questions. But if it ever did come up, I know I could go to him and ask, you know, what's he seeing, things like that, and he would answer, and he would be, you know, spot on with it, whatever he tells me. He's very intelligent. You know, he's very accurate with the ball. His timing is, you know, probably the best on the team. You know, I'll give him that for sure. He's got great timing with everything he does. So he's going to be a kid that pushes me, and I'm excited about it because, like Coach Mack says all the time, competition makes you better, and so I don't want to get lackadaisical or anything like that and think it's my job. You know, I want to, in the back of my mind, constantly think, you know, if I don't play good, I guess I could lose the spot. And, you know, I want that to kind of be back there, to just push myself and keep everything going. So.
How do you balance that with the confidence? I mean, last year your confidence was shaken at the start, partly because of the quarterback battle and it going so deep. How do you kind of balance that so it keeps pushing you without you shaking your confidence?
Yeah, that's something I actually learned from Peyton too. Is be the most confident guy in the room. When you walk in, you want people to look at you and know, you know, don't be cocky, but they should look at you and know that 100% of the time you know exactly what you're doing. And you know, I think that's something that I learned beginning of the season last year. I wasn't necessarily that guy, and as the season progressed, I think I started to become that guy, and I was happy with it. And so, you know, it's a balance thing, you know, like you said, but. You know, I am in the back of my mind. I do want that little piece to be back there, you know, pushing myself, because that's what's gonna push me to watch more film and perfect everything I do. If I don't play well, Nick could take the spot. So
You lost Capri Bibbs. Nobody can be handed a job, but your reaction to D. Hart's arrival.
I mean, he looks really good. Obviously, it'll be different when we get pads on. You can't really tell, how they are without pads because, holes aren't necessarily as big as they would be or whatever it is without pads. So it's kind of hard to tell. But, I mean, he's got a quick first step. He's very explosive. So, obviously, anytime I think you get anybody from Alabama, you're going to be happy about that. So.
What do you see as your role in helping Nick develop? Because somebody's obviously going to have to play quarterback next year when you graduate.
Just try and be a leader, I guess. If, like I said, I don't think he'll have to come to me for any questions. Like I said, he's very intelligent, but if he does, I'll answer with everything that I have, be honest with him, and just, try to be a good example for him, be a senior leader. And that's, that's what Coach Mack expects. And so hopefully I can do that for him and then send him, let him get the job next year. So.
And how impressed are you with the young receivers that you're going to work with this year? Xavier and Sammy and Elwood, their development.
They're all, very impressive. X is someone that we're going to be using a lot, I'm sure. Anytime, you got a guy that's 6'3" that can run like he does, that's somebody that we'll be able to just kind of throw the ball up to, and he's going to make a play for us. He's, he can jump out of the building, so he's going to be a big help for us. Somebody we'll use a lot, like I said, and Sammy and Elroy, both, they're coming along great. They're all three of them. They're very young. You can tell. There's sometimes they make young mistakes, just like anybody does. But just their, athleticism, everything like that, it makes up for it. And they're going to be really good players from years on out.
Being a player to watch this year, and people all eyes on you, whether optimism on how you can move this program forward. Do you feel pressure, and if you do, how do you feel it?
I don't necessarily feel too much pressure, I guess. Obviously, I'll put more pressure on myself than anyone, but, if people want to look at me that way, like I said, it's humbling and honor. It's a huge honor, but I don't feel it too much. I think everybody, this whole team is kind of rallied around what we did last season and how we finished the bowl game, and so it's really just been a fun experience this offseason to kind of see who's come out of the woodwork and who's working harder and everything like that. It's been really fun, so I'm enjoying it.
All right, thanks a lot, Garrett. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, Susan. Nice. I'm going to have to check that out.
All right, David Cass. You want to be David Cass.
Okay.
You've got his hair.
Okay. I'll remember that.
Garrett said went out to eat with you guys last night at Five Guys, or you guys ate.
Yeah.
Do you know him? I mean, he's, of course, the returning starter, but taking even more of a leadership role, especially with the new offensive line, too, for the most part.
I think he's always been a leader. It's I guess, more noticeable now, but he's always had those qualities, especially from my perspective and from the offensive line perspective. He's always been good to us, so it's nothing new, but I guess now that he's a senior leader, it's more of a perception externally.
Do you guys feel like the perception on all of you has changed? Everyone thinks you're more confident. Everyone thinks that you believe more in yourselves, but you've always kind of felt that way. It's just everyone else is starting to notice that about your team.
Yeah, it's since I've been here, I mean, we go into every game expecting to win, and that doesn't change, I guess. But externally, from, I guess, the public's side of things, it's probably a little easier to believe that now. But we go into every game with the same mindset. We're here to win. We're here to play. Nothing's really changed in terms of that.
How do you see your role as the lead partridge, I guess, with that young offensive
Lead
line?
partridge, nice. It's I guess kind of my responsibility with the experience that I do have to kind of share some of the little things that maybe aren't on paper, that aren't in the playbook, that you can't really just get from going over the ins and outs of a play. That just kind of little tweaks, little hints, keys to make it a little bit easier for us, because what we do is tough. So anything that I think I can help with, I kind of do that with the younger guys. And in terms of being comfortable out there and reading safeties and defenses, it's a little easier for me when I know exactly what's going on. So I try to help that out.
How's it different for you just as a player to have inexperienced guys around you and be the guy now?
Weston was as a center, he was obviously pretty good. He was good with his calls, and that was, I guess, we used to kind of bounce back ideas about calls, and now it's kind of I'm more of the guy they go to for clarification. So I need to be, I guess, a little more sure in exactly what I'm doing and exactly what everybody's doing in everybody's role. That way, you know, I'm kind of the guy they can go to if there is a question and have a definitive, correct answer.
Do you think you're going to be able to find the end zone this year?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think that might have been one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that I messed up, but it happens, and I've kind of moved on. No, if the ball finds my hands, I don't think it will. I'll be headed towards the end zone this time.
In terms of the running game, even last year with the experienced offensive line, you guys struggled to kind of get that established early on in the season. Have you guys taken that as an offensive line group as something you want to change, you want to establish it right away this year?
I think every offensive line group you ever talk to, that's kind of the biggest thing that we take pride in is the run game. Obviously, keeping the quarterback up and not allowing sacks is very important and crucial, but that's kind of a passive deal for us. We don't really get to go out and hit people. So we really take pride in going off and getting off the ball and kind of, I guess, dominating people is what we pride in. So that's going to be a big thing for us to develop through camp and just kind of a personality. And I think last year we struggled initially to kind of start off on the right foot in terms of what we wanted to be as a unit. And we kind of came together and figured it out that we wanted to push people around. And that's kind of where we're headed this year.
You blocked for a 1,700-yard rusher last year. You lost him. You lost other members of the offensive line. But D. Hart is here, and I realize you can't give a guy a job. But your reaction to him coming in?
Obviously, adding depth is something that we needed. We got a lot of talent, but not much experience, I guess, is similar to the offensive line. So to get someone in who's been around and played the position at a school like Alabama is helpful. And it's going to be an exciting competition, I guess, throughout the camp to see who comes out. But no matter what, as we saw last year, it's nice to have a deep backfield, and I think he really helps with that.
Garrett's talked a little bit like all the calls that Weston used to make last year. Garrett's now making some of them. Have you seen a difference in an assertiveness in him? Is that helped? Has he been good with that and made that adjustment?
To be honest with you, I don't really – whatever he's doing behind me, I'm not really sure of. Most of the time I just listen to the center. But he has taken on more of a coaching role, I guess, in terms of helping the backfield out and tight ends and motions and shifts and stuff like that. He really has to be on top of it because not only does he have to do all that stuff, but he also has to know mic points because it's not as maybe clear as it used to be at times. But I think through camp we're as we kind of put a little more glue in the offensive line, it's going to be more on us than it is on him, and he can just worry about making throws and handing the ball off.
Does it affect any of the rest of you, which guys at center?
Excuse me?
Does it affect anybody else on the line, which guys at center between when those three guys are all kind of moving around?
No, not really.
Doesn't change
no,
the dynamics
it's the same calls, the same plays. Everyone always likes to talk about offensive line, how there's a dynamic and it changes. But at the end of the day, we're taught the same footwork, we're taught the same calls, same plays. So if everyone's doing what they should be doing, it's not a big deal.
All right, thanks again. Thank you, Ty.
Thanks, Doug. You sense a change in this program, a different feeling, a different approach after last year?
Of course. I think last year had a lot to do with it, and now that I'm a senior, that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, I feel like we're still hungry. You know what I mean? We're not satisfied about what happened last year. I mean, we were excited about it. It was actually something to get excited about. But we're still hungry, and we still have goals and team goals and individual goals. We want to win the Mountain West, and so I mean, last year was great, but we still got a long ways to go.
Do you think everybody understands that?
Hopefully everybody understands that, especially the older guys. I know they do. Maybe the first-year freshmen that was here last year, they probably think that was good enough, or maybe think a freshman year. We went to a bowl game and satisfied with it. But I know the guys that's been here since I've been here, when we was nobody to be talked about, you know. So we know we got a long ways to go, and we're gonna continue to strive for greatness.
I know everybody's focused on who might play running back, but are the receivers kind of excited that if that might take a while, there might be more balls coming your guys' way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got some great running backs though, so you guys might be surprised about the talent we have back there. But as a receiver, you always want the ball. As a receiver, you kind of wish you had no running backs. So, but it's a team effort, team game, and the running backs feed off us as receivers, and the receivers feed off the running backs. So we're just gonna work together, and we'll come up with something.
How much more confidence is there from the receiver group about your quarterback, considering the way he finished last year?
A lot of confidence. I mean, a lot of off-season work, a lot of communication, a lot of bonding off the field with Garrett. He's came a long way. We came a long way, and the chemistry is only going to get better between us, and we feel very confident in him. I believe, honestly, he's going to have a great year, better than he did last year.
Knowing how you guys think of him, does it surprise you at all that defenders around the Mountain West consider him one of the elite quarterbacks?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
Considering how you guys feel about him, does it surprise you that defenders in the Mountain West consider him one of the elite quarterbacks?
Oh, no. It doesn't surprise me at all. We see him every day in practice, on and off the field. We see how he studied. We see how he prepared for the game. So, no, it really doesn't surprise me. I feel like he don't get talked about enough, honestly. So, but no, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Charles, how much you like since I mean, you're just here one more year, but bring in more Florida guys. I know that was big for you. Years back. How they're bringing them back.
Yeah, you said, how is it?
Yeah, is it not just comforting?
Yeah, I mean, we have a saying when I see somebody from Florida, we just automatically say crib. You know what I mean? Because he's from the crib, the house or whatever. I mean, we bond instantly, talk about how bad and how good Florida is, and the talent that comes out of there is unbelievable. We talk about the long flights home, long flights. Family and stuff really can't come see us as often as we wish they could, but we just bond easily, real easily. I mean, it's like we stayed next door to each other. So,
even with all the losses the offense absorbed from last year's group, do you guys still have the feeling that this year's offense, can be just as productive, if not more?
Absolutely. We lost some great players playing in the NFL right now. So, but I feel like this group coming up, you guys gonna have a lot of surprises. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have to step up that you probably really haven't heard about. But I'm excited about this group. This is what we have to ride with. I mean, we can't go out and get any more players, so we got to make this group work and do better than we did last year.
Anything else for Charles?
Is it good to not have the competition as much, at least with Garrett this year? And last year that was still undoubted. And I know Coach Mack likes to say that, you know, every day you're competing for your jobs, but that seems like a pretty secure position this year. Is it nice to know that Garrett's your guy, pretty much?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how that went down last year. But this year, I mean, we know who the guy is. We know who's going to be throwing the ball. We're confident in him. We believe in him. When he have a bad day, we pick him up. When he have a good day, we keep him humbled. But I mean, we believe in him as a receiver group, and we're confident in getting out our routes and breaking out our routes, and we know when the ball is going to be there. So all that came with hard work, summer workouts. So we're confident in him, and we believe in him. We stand behind him 100%. So.
What's your confidence level in the guys behind him, though, like Nick Stevens, CJ? Are you impressed with those guys?
Oh yeah, Garrett. I mean, he really don't have any room to slip up because those guys are coming. You know what I mean? Young talent, real good talent, poise in the pocket. I actually like those guys, to be honest with you. I'm not just talking. Those guys are pretty neat. The future is bright for those guys. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna play out when I leave, but I'm excited to see how it'll play out. So.
Thanks a lot, Charles.
Just all different personnel changes on offense.
Yeah.
You guys still feel like you can be as productive this year, if not even more so?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we got some younger receivers that are going to play this year, and we're stacked at running back from what I see. So, you know, we lost some guys, but I think we're coming back just as strong. So I think we'll be all right.
Will there be adjustments? I mean, do you guys feel like you're going to have to be adjustments in how you attack because of the personnel that you have?
We might change some things up. I think Coach Mack's pretty stout on his plan, and, you know, that's what he does, and that's how we win games is through his game plan. And he does it great. He's proven that he can win. So, you know, I think we'll stick to what we do best, and that's how we'll win games.
How hard is it going to be for guys like you and Charles that are used to kind of being the focus of the passing game to kind of keep yourself, as Coach Mack would say, relevant when you've got so many other receivers that are stepping into the mix now? What are the things you have to do to make sure Garrett still finds you plenty of time?
Yeah, I think you know, Garrett knows what we can do as wideouts, but then again, I think the younger guys coming in and with more wideouts just gives us depth in the position, and if anything, it'll just keep fresh legs on the field, and we can rotate more and really get the guys on the field who are going to make plays, and that's all of us. So I don't think Garrett will have a problem, you know, with me, Chuck, Rashard, the guys who played last year, but guys like Xavier, you know, Jordan, the guys who you guys haven't seen as much. If anything, it just gives us more depth and more opportunity to make plays.
Does that change the way you approach every play, knowing that there's probably a few, maybe not as many opportunities for you this year to be that playmaker as there were, say, 2 years ago?
Not really. I mean, I go out every play and, you know, try to do my best to make a play with whatever opportunity I get. So, you know, that's kind of how I've approached every play since I've been here. And, you know, as a wide receiver core, I think that's what we all do.
From your perspective, how has Garrett matured as a leader over the last this offseason?
Yeah, I think you know, Garrett's became more vocal and more of a teacher because he's, you know, knows the offense now. He's been in it for, you know, what, 3 years now, 2 years, and you know, he just knows more about the offense and is able to, you know, be that coach to the guys that need it. Some of the younger guys, you know, a lot of us receivers that have played, we're starting to know the offense pretty well, but you know, Garrett, just from a vocal standpoint and coaching, he's really grown.
Your position coach, Alex, has always said one of the toughest guys. You're a football player. Can you describe your mentality, how it's had to change from maybe that guy in high school to what you had to be in college, and keep that same type of aggressiveness that he loves?
Yeah, you know, I'm obviously not the biggest guy out there, but you know, I go out and fight and do what I can. You know, and just work hard on every play, but I think that's what all the wideouts do. You know, we all come different shapes and size. Some are faster, some are quicker, but you know, for me personally, I just go out and do my best every play.
Is it an innate ability for you? I mean, do you feel, is it something that's the moves you make on the field, your ability to be a playmaker, is it something that you were kind of, you've learned behavior, something you kind of had naturally?
You know, I think as a football player, we all just grow as we go all the way up from little league through high school and then into college. You just grow as a player, and you know, I think I've changed as a player from high school to college, and you know, I'm a different player obviously, but I think I've grown and I think I'll continue to grow. But I think it's all good for you know, all the wideouts that we've all grown and are continuing to grow as we move on.
Did your mentality change when you're the punt returner and not the receiver?
You know, a little bit. You're definitely thinking, you know, about some different stuff just because it's a different, you know, a different play. And but as far as making plays, I mean, you just go out there every down and try to do something with the ball if you get it.
You seem to like to take that risk, no matter how close the defender is to you.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's gotten me in Boise State, but you know, I think as a punt returner, if you're going to return the ball, you got to take some risks. And you know, if you just catch it every time with a fair catch, you're not going to have any productivity. So taking risks is part of that position.
You just don't like raising your hand, is that what it is?
Apparently I didn't during Boise State, but you know, it's something you got to feel out, and you know, you just have a feel for that position.
What coaches told you that maybe a couple more fair catches to be safe? Or?
No, they give me, you know, they don't want to, you know, mess with my head too much on if I'm going to return it or fair catches, so they kind of give me the freedom to feel out if I can return it or not. Coach Hammer, he'll let me know on the sideline kind of if I can return it or not. He'll yell, but, you know, in the play you really just got to feel it out. You don't really hear what the coaches are saying.
Do you have a safety gauge on when watch them fly the ball, trying to find out where the defenders are? Is there a line that they cross when?
You know, I couldn't really tell you. It kind of just depends on the play. Every return's different. That's kind of the cool thing about special teams and punt return is every play is gonna be different, and the guys are all over the field. So, you know, it's really fun to have that freedom and you know, if you do get an opportunity to return the ball, try to do something with it. But there's not really a point where if these guys cross this yard line, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, return it or fair catch it.
Is that the play that you like best?
You know, I definitely enjoy it. Gives me some jitters. It's a different part of the game, but you know, I like all parts of the game, and you know, being a receiver is fun, but getting return is, you know, just a bonus to get help out the team.
And is there anything like that feeling of returning a punt for a touchdown and the momentum change it can create for a team?
You know, I think scoring any touchdown is pretty exciting. You know, just like, you know, anyone scoring a touchdown on the team is pretty exciting. You know, getting a big block for somebody to score a touchdown is fun too. I think anything that's going to rally the team just, you know, brings the motivation and the morale up in the team, and it's all good.
Couple more for Joe. Okay, who's ready?
Has your approach to your senior season changed at all, considering the success that you've had the past 2 years?
I don't think so. I think, you know, what's worked in the past has been successful, so continue to build on that, continue to improve. But, I mean, no major changes really. Continue with what's worked, really.
What do you feel, what's your focus on being better at this year? I mean, you've been pretty good for a couple of years. What do you really zero in on this season?
Well, Coach Mack's 2 coaching points for me are kick it through the uprights and kick it out the back of the end zone. So
those probably haven't changed.
Yeah, no, those have been the same. So those would be my 2 ideal goals. But no, I don't know. You try to just improve every day. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's kind of like golf. You can have a good day. You can have a bad day the next day. So it's kind of just building consistency is, I think, the toughest thing for kickers, and that's what we're always striving for, is to be consistent, and that's what that's why we practice, so that when we get in those game situations, we feel comfortable, and that's what we really try to improve on.
Do you feel like that ability to have a good day or a bad day is kind of what keeps you humble? Just because you have been good, you have been one of the more consistent players for the past couple of years, it might be hard not to get complacent, but do you think that just you might have a bad day, so that helps you keep you humble?
Yeah, no, it is humbling when you have those bad days. It can be frustrating, but you just have to take each day and individually and trust in what you've done. And then when you get in those game situations, know that you're prepared and know that that's your time to perform.
What do you view as your role in improving the special teams this year?
I think, I'm the senior now. It's kind of been weird the past 2 years. We've lost, 4 years we've lost, one specialist, starting with Pete and then Tanner. So, now I'm the senior, and it's my role to help those guys, Trent and Hayden, and continue to set the standard. We've had pretty good special teams. I think this year we can even be better than we were last year. A lot of areas we can improve. So, I want to be that leader. I want to push guys. We have a lot of good young guys who are hardworking, and, competition is great. So everybody's pushing each other in the special teams group, and it's been good so far.
Can a kicker be a leader? Can you be a leader?
Yeah, I think not only within the special teams group, but within the team. I think through Coach Mack and his emphasis on special teams, guys realize the importance of it, and guys throughout the team respect what we do. And we're part of the team. We lift with everybody. We've earned our spot too. So guys respect the special teams aspect of it. They respect what we do. So I think we can be leaders, definitely.
Jared, do you ever feel slighted when people say that they had to settle for a field goal?
Obviously, I'd rather score touchdowns too. Unless we're up big, then I don't mind kicking some field goals. But no, I don't feel slighted. Obviously we'd love to score touchdowns every time, but if we can't, then field goal is the next best thing. So,
is your confidence changed at all after kicking the game winner in the bowl game? Could there be a rise even after the success you had?
Yeah. I mean, that was my first game winner at any level, high school or obviously here. But Yeah, it was a confidence booster. You know, the nerves were unmatched to any other kick I've ever had, no question. But yeah, it's a confidence booster to know you've been there. With kicking, you know, it's always just about being able to draw at situations. So if that ever arises in the future, you know I've been there, and I can draw from that and take confidence in that.
Can you sense a change in your teammates' feeling about you from the time that you were the walk-on guy, the first time you went out and had a great game against CU, to what their expectation of is you now?
I think expectations are greater, but I think how the guys view me hasn't changed. You know, I'm still that same guy, act the same. My demeanor with the guys is the same as when I was a walk-on to it is now. I still try to have that hard-working walk-on mentality. But I think, yeah, their expectations probably are higher. You know, when I was a walk-on, nobody probably really expected much of me. And as I've had more success, the guys do probably expect more, coaches as well. So, you know, that's an honor. I take pride in that. The expectations are higher, and I like to live up to that if I can.
How much stronger has your leg, I guess, gotten?
I think it's improved every year. The off-season stuff with Coach Kent and the other strength coaches, flexibility, dynamic power, all that stuff. It's important for a kicker. So I think every year my leg strength has improved. So, you know, as we work through fall camp, hopefully I'll be able to show that.
Anything else? All right.
Thanks.
Jared, complimented very highly as being one of the better groups in the Mountain West. How do you guys feel about that kind of respect and the obligation you are given to see?
We definitely take that as a compliment, and we're ready to take on the challenge, try to be leaders for the defense, along with the D-line and the DBs. Yeah, we're excited to start this year.
Aaron, we talked to the co-coordinators earlier, and they talked about when they get in those meeting rooms as a group of coaches and as a defense, and there's really not a big hierarchy of these guys are the coordinators, these guys this. It's really kind of a group effort and coming up with a game plan and figuring out who's going to do what. Do you see that as a player? Does it really come across that way, that kind of all of those defensive coaches are sort of on par and they've all got some good ideas that you guys are benefiting from?
Oh yeah, definitely. Our coaches are great. We come in here as a defense, and they all give us tips and just kind of help us out by every position, and they really work together as a group. And I think that's one of the big reasons we've been successful as a defense, just buying into what they're telling us, and I think that's helped us out a lot.
You've probably been in team meeting rooms where coaches start arguing with each other. Do these guys do that much?
No, they joke around mostly, and it's all business when we need to. So.
From a linebacker perspective, what do you guys feel your role is in helping to improve the overall pass defense?
We definitely gotta. Coach always tells us we gotta reroute. It starts at the D line, starts up front. Got to get some pressure. Linebackers got to reroute. DBs got to cover. So it's us as a whole defense. It's not just the DBs, and we're definitely working on that. Watching a little more film, doing some drills, or got to reroute as linebackers, and keeping our pass rush lanes as D line.
Marty English talked earlier about kind of, you guys really zeroed in last year on making sure you were good against the run because that had been such a problem here before. He says now the pass defense is what's got to get fixed. Is that sort of the normal progression, you think, of just kind of developing a defense, that you have to kind of zero in on one thing and fix it first and then move on?
I think we just need to execute, run and pass. I think we gotta just watch more film, just get in the film room, talk to the coaches, see what they want from us, and we shouldn't focus on one thing. It should be focusing on run and pass, I think.
But was it nice last year to be able to stop the run? I mean, that was the problem the year before.
Yep,
You
definitely.
guys were a much better team against the run. Teams were a little more reluctant to run on you in those 3rd and 5 type situations.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely good to stop the run, but we definitely need to improve our pass defense. We've been focusing on that. Yeah, we want to be a balanced defense. We want to make the offense one-dimensional and kind of know what they're going to do.
How well, really, do you guys work together as a linebacking corps? 'Cause I think all 3 of you would have you. How nice is that? Do you even have to ask Max and Corey what they're going to do, or do you just kind of already know?
I basically know. We can just look at each other and know what we're thinking. Myself and Max communicate a lot, and Corey, even Steve-O, we've been playing with him also. We're looking forward to some of the younger guys to step up also, Kevin Davis, Deontay. So, yeah, we communicate. We know how to communicate with each other, and it's nice to have some experience together.
How nice is to have that depth? I mean, it's not. I mean, you guys get all the attention as returning starters, but it seems like there's a feeling there's a lot of depth on that unit.
Oh yeah, definitely. As a group, I think we're very close. In the film room, we're like a family. So it's good to have that chemistry with the linebackers, and as a whole defense, we're pretty close. So.
But even as a guy who played as a true freshman like yourself, do you feel like you have to keep continually going out and earning your job because of the talent that's behind you?
Oh yeah, that's always good to have some competition so guys don't get complacent, and yeah, that competition's always good for the starters and the backups.
Who impresses you that's in that next wave of linebackers on this team?
I think, like I said, Kevin Davis, Deontay Clyburn, they're doing really well, switching up positions a little bit, and yeah, they're doing good coming up.
Can you tell a difference in Kevin? I know there was hopes that he thought he could come back and play last year, and obviously that got slowed down. Did you see? Does he look like he's back to being himself after what you've seen in the summer, just one day of practice?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think for him, he was just a little nervous just because his knee. That's natural, but I think he's starting to play hard, and he's doing really well in practice.
What do you expect to see from Steve-O out there this year?
Steve-O, he hasn't started, but he's got a lot of game experience. We're used to playing with him in practice, so we expect big things from Steve-O.
You look at the first part of the schedule. I mean, you guys look ahead and say Colorado, then it's Boise, then Boston, DC, Colorado. Talk amongst yourselves about that being a pretty important stretch, or is it just one game? How do you look at that opening month?
Oh yeah, that opening month's definitely important, but right now during camp we're just focused on that first game. That's going to be big for us to start the season out strong, so we're just focused on that right now.
Anything else for Aaron?
Thank you guys.
How much confidence do you guys have in the linebacker that you have on this team?
We have a lot. We have a lot of confidence right now.
Why? Where does that stem from?
Just from the coaches telling us to, you know what I'm saying, pick it up and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Does Shaq's absence change any challenge for you, especially putting on the pass route?
No, not really.
Why not?
Well, I mean, I just go out there and try my best and do what I got to do to help my team.
Do you worry people are going to focus a lot more on you now, though? When both of you were there, they kind of had to pick their poison a little bit. Now they can kind of zero in on you a little bit, at least until maybe Steve-O shows he can do what he's capable of.
I mean, not really. I really don't think about it. You know what I mean?
I know a lot of people are expecting to replace some of Shaq's production, but is your primary focus just to remain the player that you are?
Yeah. Yes.
Why is that important?
I mean, just, I don't know.
Corey, what are the things the defense overall has to really do a better job of this year for you guys to have a successful
Say that again real quick?
What are the things the defense overall has to do this year for you guys to have a more successful season?
I just getting takeaways, you know what I'm saying, interceptions, fumbles, stuff like that, sacks, and that's just our overall effort between all of us on the defense. That's it.
Do you feel like it'll be better given that you've got so many guys back now that have played so much? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you lose a Shaq and you lose those guys up front, but everybody else has played a lot of football together in the last couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you like best about this defense and the way it's built?
Just go out and get the ball. I don't know.
Younger linebackers do you expect, or guys who haven't played as much, do you expect to really step up this year?
I hope so.
Or which younger guys do you expect to see an impact?
like Evan, Colorado, Kyle Robinson, all of them. Freshmen coming in, Deontay. Yeah.
How ready to play are those guys? How game ready are those guys?
I feel like they're pretty ready. And
are they guys that can help you a lot? Coach talks a lot about the special teams, about having those other linebackers that can really kind of play a key role there and maybe take a little bit of the stress off the rest of you guys having to play so much on special teams.
Yeah, I think they could be a big help on special teams.
What do you feel like you personally need to get better at? What do the coaches talk to you about? What do you want to say, hey, you gotta work on this part of your game though?
I feel like I need to be more aggressive and probably like strip balls and stuff like that. Probably get a little bit more sacks and stuff. You know what I mean? Help my team.
See some more turnovers from you?
Yeah, help my team get more turnovers.
All right. Anything else for Corey?
No,
All right.
I think we're talking. One of the things that could help the secondary and the pass defense overall is if you guys could rely more on a four-man rush. How much of an emphasis is that for you guys coming back on the defensive line, creating more pressure, whether or not it's sacks or hurries, but just doing your part in helping the back end out?
Yeah, there's a big emphasis on that. It starts up front. We need to pressure the quarterback, affect his throw.
Max Morgan said it was kind of hard for everyone that's up front to watch the secondary kind of take the brunt of the blame for everything. Are you guys looking to step up even more this year so they don't have to take so much of the blame?
Yeah, we're trying to progress our pass rush, make it better so we can help out the guys in the back end.
Joe, you look like you've gotten a lot bigger.
Yeah.
How much can that help you? First of all, how much weight have you put on, and how much can that help you this year? You were kind of an undersized guy.
Yeah, when I first got here, I think I weighed 210 pounds. But right now I'm at 260, and every pound helps.
How much different of a player are you heading into this season than you were last year?
I'd say a lot different. I have a lot more experience this year. I know the playbook, what the coaches expect.
And then did you come back with a lot more confidence because your game picked up at the end of last year? I mean, a lot of your sacks came later in the year. A lot of your quarterback hurries came later in the year. I mean, do you feel like you're a more confident player coming in?
I do. I know my role in the defense, and that helps me do my job.
Given where you are from, does the Rocky Mountain Showdown mean more to you than anybody else?
No, I think it means a lot to everyone on this team, but right now in camp we're just focused on preparing for the season.
You're not even looking at the first game?
Not yet, not until game week.
How much do you think though having that game at the start does affect the way you guys prepare, the way you guys get ready in fall camp? The fact that you open the season with Colorado and then right after that you go to Boise State.
Yeah, camp, it helps us prepare for the whole season. It's a big deal. We work on making ourselves better, and that'll just help us week to week throughout the season.
I know that the defensive line returns intact, or returns to everybody that was lost for the second straight year. How much confidence do you guys have as a group that are coming back, the games that you played last year?
I'd say we're pretty confident. A lot of guys got experience last year, and we have a lot of good talent coming up. That'll only help us move forward.
How do you feel about the guys behind you? There's been a lot of attrition on the defensive line over the last few years.
Yeah.
Is there enough depth behind you to keep all you guys fresh and be able to get that kind of playing rotation that you had going last year where you were playing 7, 8, 9 guys a game?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like I said, we have a lot of good talent, young talent, so.
The one guy that surprised me walking on the field yesterday, Justin Hansen.
Yeah.
I know they wanted him to lose some weight, and it looked like he did.
Yeah.
Did he look like a different player over the summer?
He did. He lost a lot of weight, and he looks more mobile.
How much do you think he can help you this year as opposed to just being the heavyset package last year?
It'll help a lot. He'll be able to stay on the field for longer. Yeah.
How hard is it going to be to replace what Calvin gave you guys in the middle? I mean, certainly I know, Orion's there.
Yeah.
You've got people there, but just that presence. Calvin seemed to be a pretty big deal in that defensive line and did a lot of good things for you.
Yeah, the young guys, Lorian and Justin, they'll step up and fill his shoes.
Anything else for Joe?
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
What will make the defense better as a whole in that area? What are the things that you guys need to do as a defense that will help you guys on the back end?
Well, first of all, probably communication for the back end, because I think that was the key point the coaches pointed out, and just more pressure coming from the linebackers and D-line. I mean, you can always attempt to do better than last year, and that's the biggest point we have to work on.
Does that make for a camp this year when you guys give up 31 touchdown passes that nobody feels safe with the job that they have, even if you're a returning starter?
True, that is true. But it just pushes us, especially Bernard, KP, Dre, pushes us to go even harder in practice, and I think everybody's going to get better doing that way, and I'm happy.
There's 7 new DBs
Right.
on the team right now that are all coming in.
Right.
Coach Simmons suggested that a couple of those guys are going to play this year. What's that mean for the rest of you, and are those guys guys you need to step up and jump in?
That's a good question. Whoever's ready to play, and whoever's ready to may help the team, I'm happy whoever comes in and step up, because that's a challenge not only for the team to handle, but I think it's a great way to just go out there, compete, start a new set of trends that we haven't did in a while. It's just a better way, like I said, just to come out there and compete. I mean, whoever that person is or people are that DBs that come in, if it helps the team and get wins, then I'm all for it.
Do you sense there's more competition in the secondary? There's going to be more this year than maybe you had in your time here before, because it's been a position that's been hit hard by injuries, attrition.
Which is good, and playing a position, especially defensive back. I mean, there's always shoulder injuries, ankles, and Coach Simmons hits it on where you have to take care of your legs, and sometimes we don't do that, and sometimes we have a lot of injuries. So just having that security of extra DBs helps a lot.
When you go back and you reflect on last season, especially for the secondary, what do you think about?
Reflecting back, I think about a lot of camaraderie. I think of downfall. I think of positivity coming from the negative. I think of brotherhood. I think of unselfish. Everybody's being unselfish. And pretty much a family. I mean, even though, so what people say we had a bad 32 whatever touchdowns, or we gave this up much, but the whole point that's back in as far as defensive backs, we always was a family, and that was the number one priority. And that's what helped us challenge ourselves to play in the next game. So that helped out a lot.
How much will that help that you guys had each other's backs even when others were pointing fingers at you?
It's always good because when I'm down, KPL has my back, and that gets me to play better. When Dre's down, I can help him out. It's always that extra person that you need, like a father figure in your life or a mother, something that you need some leeway with.
Have you ever been tempted to try basketball again?
Yeah, I did. I love it. It's my first love, but hey, God put me to come here at Colorado State for a reason. So.
How impressed were you guys last year with Jake Schlager and what he did on special teams?
Oh yeah, Jake has always been a player. He always been a playmaker. He went through a couple of injuries. That's probably the one that the biggest thing that stopped him from playing more on the field. But he gave 110%. Now that he's healthy, he's bringing more to the table, and
I hope he be more successful as far as trying to play more on the field.
Did he really open your guys' eyes in camp? I mean, even here's this kid out of nowhere, Nebraska, and he made an instant impact on this team.
Yeah. He got me fired up from CU game, just going out there down on kickoff. He showed how much passion he has for the game, how much love he has for the team. Because some guys don't want to really go down there and go as hard as he does, and that gets me fired up to when I go out there. And I'm pretty much I'm learning from him sometimes, and he doesn't even know it.
Last offseason, it seemed like holding on to those interceptions was the big thing you're working on.
Yeah.
It worked out well last season. This offseason, what's that next step? What are you doing?
Same thing, just do it a little bit better. Same formula, just do it a little bit better. Working on just pretty much catching more and just trying to get better at that way, you know. And if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just going to do my job.
Al Simmons said like a lot of the mistakes that were made last year on the back end were technique mistakes.
Right.
Not recognizing assignments or not doing assignments. How big of a frustration was that, knowing that you had the abilities to do things and it was those things that caused you problems?
It was very frustrating. And what Coach Simmons teached us is you should be frustrated. Because if you're not, then you're not a competitor. And he wanted to point that emphasis on. And once we realized that, we had to figure out, okay, if it is techniques, how can we fix that by doing the little things? And that's what Coach Mack goes back to, the little things. And some of those plays, going back and watching film, we did not do the little things. And, I mean, as playing DB, a receiver can snap on you in a blink of an eye if you don't work on the little things. And technique is one of those little things. And eyes is one of those little things. And footwork is one of those little things. So if you don't harp on that, it's as good as done.
That's good. I'm good. Your eyes aren't deceiving you this year where they did last year.
Well, we watch a lot of film. That's true. Another thing we do to work on our eyes is kind of when we go to practice, we don't use any ball because a lot of defensive backs just want to get in interceptions. But if you don't have any ball, you can't get interceptions. So you're going to keep driving, watch the hips, and get your eyes better.
Was that the frustrating thing last year? Is that, like Coach Simmons said, a lot of the mistakes that were made that yielded touchdowns were technique problems, not executing the technique the way you were supposed to. I mean, how much of an emphasis was put on that? How much frustration stemmed from that?
I feel like that was just a small problem from our problem last year. I think our problem last year was mostly miscommunication, not communicating. You know, sometimes it get loud. We need to use hand signal, you know, to communicate with each other. But the technique come with practice, you know, just repetition over and over again, and we'll get that technique down.
Were there times it was you caught yourself kind of you knew you needed to react quickly, but you were maybe still reading things? Did you find yourself in that dilemma a few times last year?
Well, football is a game of inches. You know, any false step kind of put you in a bad position. I mean, I'm not perfect, so there's a couple times where, you know, take a wrong steps and I'm a little late on the throw or something. So there's a couple times I do feel myself in that position in games.
Is that where just the film study and the repetition hopefully should fix that to where it becomes second nature?
I don't think film study could fix that. It's just most likely you got to go out there and practice on it. You know, if you practice on it, it becomes second nature. It becomes everything you do. Your feet know where to go without you even thinking it. They just do it automatically.
So is it more of a recognition issue, seeing what the offense is trying to do and knowing it before?
Well, yeah, if you do know what the offense is going to do, you would put yourself in a better position to make a play. You actually could put yourself maybe 2 steps ahead of where you can make a play. So I guess you could say that too.
Just from an overall standpoint, what does this defense have to do this year to help the team move forward from where you were last year?
This defense just we gotta keep doing what we're doing. I don't think we're bad at all. We just gotta maybe have a little bit more takeaways, interception, forced fumbles, stuff that's gonna put our offense in good positions to put some points on the board. Communication, we need to communicate a little better. But after that, I think the defense is good. We're good to go.
Coach English suggested that, there was a lot of emphasis put last year on fixing the run problems the year before and making sure you guys were a good defense against the run. And suggested maybe that had to be fixed first, and now obviously that emphasis is on the pass.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in the way you guys are being coached because of that? Kind of, okay, we got this down, now it's time to move on to this and fix this.
We do. Our coaches now is more on getting the ball, any ball on the field, even if it's an incomplete pass, it's our ball. We go get it. If the ball's in the air, it's ours. So we got to make plays on that. We're trying to be more like a balanced defense this year, kind of pass and run. Instead of worrying about the run more, we actually worrying about both.
Did that potentially hurt the pass defense a little bit just because they needed you guys in run support, and there probably was a lot of emphasis if you're focused on stopping the run, on making sure you guys are there, and maybe lead to some of those poor reads, those miscommunications?
I wouldn't say it hurt the pass defense because we were in good position to make plays. I mean, we were coached good. We just, a couple plays, we're just, what I'm saying, we're just kind of like a step behind, But I don't think it hurt the pass defense or anything. We just kind of have to make the plays that we should be making.
It just seems like as a DB, you've always got to have that pass-first mentality. That's what you've got. But once you realize it's not, you got to jump up really quickly. Where there are times that maybe you got a little over-anxious to help with that run support because there had been so much emphasis put on it.
Yeah, well, that also comes with film study too. You just got to look at the offense formation and top 3 plays from that formation. If it's a run or pass, it will help you be in a better position. I think that comes with kind of film study, more film study.
Does the secondary enter this season feeling like it has a lot to prove?
No and yes. We don't have to prove anything to anybody but ourselves. And then yes, because, a lot of people have their doubts and stuff, but as a team, we know what we have to do to overcome our problems. I don't think we worry about anything that's from the outside. It's most likely in the locker room. We talk about each other, what we need to do. But anything to prove, I don't think we have anything to prove. We're good just the way we are right now.
Why'd you end up here instead of Colorado?
Instead of who?
Colorado.
Oh, the guys up the road. CSU is I feel like it's a better place for me to be. God led me here for a reason, and I believe I have a reason that I need to accomplish here. So I don't think it was any decision. I just feel more welcome here, feel more like a family, and this is where I belong. So that's the decision I made.
Charles told us earlier about the Florida guys all still kind of stick together in the locker room. They kind of have their little thing. Is that true with the Texas guys too?
I feel like we're all kind of together. I mean, you're always going to have your little group of guys that you hang out with. I don't think it's divided or anything. It's just sometimes when you go your separate way, you got your best friend. Like I'm always with Trent and Dre. They're my roommates, so we have more to talk about, kind of related stuff. So that's why we stay together. But, I mean, I love everybody in the locker room. I'm always with everybody, having a good time.
When you say that the secondary, you said you're good just the way we are right now. Is that confidence? Is that what you bring? No matter what anybody's saying about you, you guys still have confidence you can get the job done?
Yeah, I mean, as a DB, you got to have confidence. You got to have short memories too. So if somebody says something bad about me, you of course you're gonna look at it, but you got to forget it and move on to the next one and worry about the next play. I feel like that's what we bring. We bring confidence and the short memory, and then we'll be fine.
How fed up is the secondary getting with us always asking you about how are you going to get better?
We kind of expecting it. I mean, we're not worrying about it. I mean, you doing your job. We have to do our job by performing on the field. So it's your job, and I have to do my job. So it really don't bother us that much.
Anything else for KPL?
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Appreciate it.